Do you guys like the LEDs? I kind of forgot I had these, so I turned them on for this video, and they look kind of nice. Anyway, so as we know, 3.8 is going to be the release of the Dahlia, or Constance, whatever you call her for this video. And simplicity's sake, I'm going to call her Constance, because Dahlia, oh my god, it's a Genshin character. So yeah, Constance is what I'm going to refer to her as. She's going to be the character in 3.8, as I mentioned, and she's going to be fire nihility and also a super break related character from what we do know in the info circulating around. And do you know what happened at the end of the 2.x patches before we went to 3.0? They released Fugue, who was a super break enabler while also being fire nihility. Coincidence? I think not. Pretty much, I'm going to talk about how I do think this is going to be a thing going forward, because I'm honestly convinced. Because at first we thought it was like, oh cool, they're just kind of doing this to like give it some love, maybe they're going to get some break supports in 3.x, and that did not really happen. But yeah, I kind of want to be talking about the kind of dangers on the Dahlia for right now and what you might want to consider. So this video might be helpful for you. It might just be another thing of me yapping with nothing to upload. I don't know, we'll see. Support the channel by clicking on my link in the description and start your Raid Shadow Legends journey. You'll get an awesome legendary champ Elenaro right at the start alongside 3 awesome epics. Don't miss out on this great head start and click the link right now. Anyway, first, I want to talk about the beginning, just for players who maybe played during the time but they might have forgot, or people who started after 2.7. 2.7 was the final patch of the 2.x era before we went to 3.0. There was no 2.8, 2.9, it was just 3.0 and Emphorius. There were 2 characters, the first half was Sunday, and then the second half was going to be the character we're talking about in this video, was Fugue. Fugue was also fire nihility, just like Constance, and also was a super break enabler, taking a spot on that team. She was finally a reviver for that actual archetype because it didn't last too long. Which is weird considering 2.x was like break era as well. Like we had 3 DPS for break released. We had Firefly, well we had Buto first, then Firefly, and then Rappa. In the first beginning patches, especially when Firefly released, it was like the heavy shield thing. They even had a whole boss for it, being the like 3 Matronic thingies, I forgot what they're called. The choir, is that what they're called? I don't know. Despite how much we thought it was getting shielded, it kind of just like didn't last for too long, honestly. Like it was good with Boot Hill, and then it kind of like faded, and then Firefly, and then it kind of faded, which was like right beside each other, so I guess it didn't really fade. So after Firefly, it kind of just like faded. We went back to Shansho, and suddenly it was just like, you know, Yunli, follow-up attack, all that stuff, and then like Break's just like, oh yeah, we're here by the way. Rapper release was kind of like a worse Firefly at the time. Also was like fully AoE, so if there was a magic weakness in like pure fiction, it was better. So it's just like it was really weird. Like it wasn't inherently bad on concept, it was good. We also had Harmony Trailblazer being like the super break enabler and such, and that was like the only super break we had. So the team would be like the DPS, Harmony Trailblazer, Ruan Mei, and then your sustain. If you're doing sustain, this would depend on what you sub it out. Personally, I wasn't a super break Buto user when he came out. I was just like a regular user. So I used Sunday, Ruan Mei, and then whatever. Well, before Sunday, I used Bronya, but that's besides the point. I don't know. Okay, what I'm trying to get at is break has been weird. Like, it was really good, but it was also, like, forgotten, and then remembered, and then forgotten. It was, like, a really weird period of time. Rappa really was not a good release at all, at least until later when we got Fugue. Fugue was finally the revival of the actual archetype, and we're like, oh my god, she's actually insane for these characters. Like, she was mainly made with Firefly in mind, which they always are, I don't know why. But they ended up making Fugue become this really good character that we thought was going to just be like the reason it stays afloat alongside these other teams. Because at the time, with Fugue, it was honestly making Break compete at like a really high level. Like it was competing with the other best teams. Again, at least. Rappa honestly saw like the biggest buff, honestly, because she, I think at the time, ended up actually outperforming Firefly, especially if you had lower investment, because at E2, Firefly becomes insane. So that was really funny. Boot Hill, who we thought was not going to get like much of a benefit from it, because it was like a big split. Like you ran Super Break Boot Hill if you wanted to see big numbers, but generally Action Advanced Boot Hill with a Sunday or Bronya at the time had more output, so it just ended up being better, but they both had their cases. One was better for bosses, the other one was better for like overall performance, and even he ended up seeing a big change. And he was honestly, I think, the better one to use to sustain this. Harder, but better. Where you'd run him, Sunday or Bronya, again, Fugue, and then Ruan Mei. Nonetheless, Fugue was a like big change in the actual meta, despite having a kit that was kind of messy. Nonetheless, she did bring these Break characters back up to float, and we're like, oh my god, they actually remember Break. Break's gonna get some supports, maybe some consistent form of help throughout 3.x. Maybe there was going to be a new Break DPS in 3.x. Lo and behold, in 3.x, we didn't get a Break DPS or like another support. The closest thing we got was Break Noxa, which honestly is really good. But yeah, when it comes to that specific archetype, there actually like wasn't another change. And now, fast forward to the end of Amphorius, we're gonna go back to Penacony, and we're getting another character in the form of Constance, who is also Fire Nihility for some reason, and is going to be another Super Break character. She enables Super Break, she allows you to Super Break even when enemies aren't toughness broken, so like why is it even break at that point? I won't have to lie though, that is a good buff, just because a lot of characters, and especially with like toughness bars getting higher and higher, it's kind of hard for break characters to do damage since they can't break fast enough, so like it takes a while to break. But nonetheless, she is practically like the Fugue when she released. We're seeing like a surge of tests, like you can watch gameplay out there, it's like there's a bunch. Constance with Firefly, Constance with Buto mainly because she works best with those two since they have an implant and they need to have an implant to get the full effect. They also have to be Fire to get the full effect, so you have to mainly be like Firefly because this is the character she's mainly made for. She's mainly made for Firefly but works with the others. Rappa, unfortunately, to my knowledge, gets the least out of Constance but still does work, and we're kind of just having a repeat. Of course, like the priority here of like who got better buffs out of them is like different. Nonetheless, we are seeing another rise in break, and I feel like I want to make this video just to remind you guys that this happened already, and people are now saying like, holy, break's gonna be super good again, maybe we're gonna get stuff in 4.x, maybe there's gonna be a DPS, maybe there's gonna be another support that helps with the current DPS, and I just want to tell you guys that we've literally had this happen already. It's happened. Fugue at least helped with break to like if you had good enough investment and or if you were a good enough player, you could use break to clear like the end games. But if you were super low investment, maybe you just had like E0 S0 stuff or maybe 1 or 2 E0 S1s. And if Constance is like a super situational pull for you and you're like thinking about it, maybe because you have a break DPS that you want to use, or you're debating on using those pulls on an existing character or saving that up for 4.x. Whatever your situation is, I mainly just want to remind you that this did happen, and I have a feeling it's going to happen again in the exact way. I think we're going to get Constance whenever she's finalized. 3.8 happens. Holy crap, break is back, gets shielded a little bit. We go into 4.x, it's going to be strong for maybe 1 or 2 patches, even at like low investment as it is like right now in beta testing. And then it just kind of falls. That's quite literally what happened with Fugue, and I'm just convinced it's going to happen again. And I don't know what it is, but the fact that it happened twice in a row, it's like still not confirmed, but I feel like they're just going to do a weird thing with break. Well, until we get a planet just full of break stuff, they're just going to ignore break throughout an entire version, and then at the end they're going to release a character to be like, hey, remember this exists. And they're going to slowly release something that makes break less like break. Like, you don't have to break them to do super break like how Constance does now. What's next? It's going to be like, yeah, we allow breaks to crit. Okay, just make them crit DPS. Anyway, that's not like the point of the video. The point of this video is I just want to remind you guys that this already happened, how it happened, what happened after that, and how and why I think it's going to happen again. What you do with that information is completely up to you. If you want to pull her to revive your break characters and use whatever time you have, that's good on you. Have fun. I'm not here to tell you what to do. But if you're someone a little iffy about it, I just want to remind you to keep that in the back of your head, just in case it happens again. Hoyo might prove that wrong. Maybe they'll get another break support sometime in the earlier times of 4.x. Maybe break is just going to perform really good going forward with Constance, like how it is in beta cycle right now. Because again, don't get me wrong, with Constance right now, break is performing good. But yes, anyway, just keep that in the back of your head. It's really funny how this happened twice, and if it happens again at the end of 4.x where we get another break buff and it just kind of got ignored throughout the entirety of 4.x, I'm going to laugh really hard because that's really funny. Anyway, that's it for this video. If you found this enjoyable, it's kind of just me yapping. Be sure to drop a like. If you're new to the channel or haven't done so already, be sure to subscribe to the bell icon for more videos like this, along with all other types of Star Wars content. Check the description to join the Discord server and also check out my Archetype channel. And remember, if you are interested in Raid Shadow Legends whatsoever, be sure to click the link in the description as it gives you a really strong start and also helps support the channel. So if you're interested in Raid Shadow Legends whatsoever, please feel free to give it a try. Anyway, that's it. See ya.